Welcome to today's Insider Power Hour. I'm excited to have everyone here today. I am going to share my screen here and go over the rules that we have to know about. Um, so this is the Insider Power Hour class, and today is July 21st. These group visits provide additional opportunity for you to connect with me and my team or experts on a weekly basis to learn about additional information to help you on your health journey. This is included in your membership. So the educational presentation or guest lecture will include the first 30 minutes of Insider Power Hour, recorded and placed in the Solutions Learning Library, which will be going live later this week. So you'll be able to watch any past classes. The format will be either a lecture style of various subjects, a lab review, which we've had those in the past, so I encourage you to go to the Solutions Learning Library, the Q&A, or lecture series, which I just completed a lecture series on inflammation and your inflammatory score. The closed group discussion will happen after this educational presentation, and it will not be recorded. That will be a guided discussion, and participation in that class is optional. You can just sit and listen if you like, or you can contribute. Be curious and open-minded in the group discussions. Everyone is at a different stage in their journey. We are students and learning. No one has all the answers, including me. Emotions are welcomed and embraced. Please be careful, though, in information that you share. If you choose to share personal health information, that is completely up to you. But don't think of terms in black and white, but shades of gray. So the topic for today is nutritional immune support. So quickly, I'm going to let you know that once the Solutions Library is open to everyone, you can go back and see previous recorded programs that I have done. I believe they started in late May, so you might have some time there to look at everything. And I did some really great topics on how to prepare yourself for change, what are the steps for change, things of that nature. And as we get our nutritional and wellness coaches on board, they will be presenting in the future as well. You'll be given a heads up when that happens. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is immune support. So let me get in here. So a couple of things that I wanted to bring up about immune support, because I've had a lot of people first be very curious and really want to understand what foods are therapeutic for their immune system. As we all are aware, there is an assault on our immune system happening from a variety of different ways. And when we talked about the inflammatory risk score, we talked about those things in detail, like sleep, like stress management, like food, like movement. We looked at all of those things, toxin exposure, and how to identify those and reduce those. But today we're going to talk a little bit more about supplements and what is on your plate that is supportive. Now, the Institute for Functional Medicine has come out with this particular list of nutraceuticals and botanicals recommended for patients if they are looking to support their immune system. Now, one of the things that you have to understand is these supplements, some of them absolutely must be monitored, such as vitamin A. That's critical that it's monitored by a practitioner, because these are very high doses of these supplements and they do something very therapeutic. You should not be on them for a long period of time. So a lot of people that are working with me already are on a lot of these supplements because we have tailored them to your lab results and your symptoms. But I like this because it gives people an idea of what is truly important in some more supporting the immune system. This will be available. This will be available in the downloads in the class in the solutions library. So I want you to be sure that this will be available. You can set up an appointment and talk with me about these in detail, or we can talk about them in the group class as well. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was the immune support. I'm going to hide this for just a second. The immune supporting plate. Now, everyone in the group is at various levels and on various therapeutic food plans. So keep that in mind. This is a general immune supporting plate. Some of you have been identified as having gluten sensitivities, and there really isn't any gluten on here, but maybe nut sensitivities, or maybe you don't do well with fermented foods. And we've identified certain food items that either need to be removed from your diet or increased into your diet. So I like this because I think when we start working together, we have that conversation about my goal for you is when you look at your plate to identify what is harming and what is helping. So this will also be available to you once you watch the replay, and the attachments will be available to you. So you can download these if you like. And then we're going to go back and talk a little bit more in depth about things like I did a previous class on vitamin D, and in that class is a calculator, an online calculator to tell you what is the appropriate amount of sunshine that you need to be exposed to have a maximum vitamin D level where you live in the world, in your hemisphere, your latitude and longitude. So that's important today because of where we live. We're having our maximum exposure to sunshine. And although we've had quite a few rainy days, we need to take advantage of when we can get those particular supplements. Um, we know that the ratio between omega-3s and omega-6s is very important. Some of you have found out that you don't tolerate or you've had a high level of omega-6s, which are sunflower and safflower oils. So understanding that ratio, we measure that for a lot of you. And so you want to follow that as well. But if you're looking for things to include for like family members, and I do have a 3-day anti-inflammatory cookbook diet that we can send and we can talk about as well with one of the nutritional coaches if you indeed want to go on that route. Let's see. So write down some of your questions, and if you have any questions, put them in the chat box too. I will also look at that. And let's see. I don't see anything right now in the chat box. Okay. So building a healthy snack. So I've had quite a few people lately, believe it or not, who've reached out to start working with me and say, I know what I should eat. I just don't have the discipline to eat it. Well, that is a really big statement. And as you know, when you start working with a functional medicine practitioner, there's really no easy answer because there are multiple things that connect. I have some clients that have, and I've seen this in other case presentations where with other practitioners, where the serotonin and dopamine markers are a vulnerability. And we know that when we eat emotionally, that increases serotonin and dopamine. And so we get kind of a high. So Is it the fact that it's just a matter of willpower, or is it the fact that you have a chemical serotonin dopamine imbalance? And how do we fix that? So you can see how this is kind of all connected together. But for purposes of today, being creative and how to put foods together, I think is probably one of the things that most everybody would like some help with because it can be confusing. But what I like about using our health coaches and is that they can help you figure out what fits into your lifestyle the easiest, what things you need to change in your lifestyle. So I'll give you an example. Some of my clients are extremely busy. I mean, they don't get a lunch, they don't get a chance to go to the bathroom. They have days that are go, go, go. And they could be at various levels from, stay-at-home moms to professionals to traveling people. It really doesn't matter. But we have to understand that if we want to use smoothies, how do we build that smoothie so that we are using all of the nutritional things that we need, the anti-inflammatory immune support things that we need. And let me go back to one of the things here on this list, green tea. So there's a couple things about green tea. It's really important to include green tea. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't tolerate caffeine well, then you want to have the decaffeinated green tea. And organic is always best. The process for decaffeination in any of the teas is a very natural approach and doesn't use chemicals. So I want you to be aware of that. So why am I bringing up green tea and then going back to smoothie? Well, you need 4 cups of green tea every single day. So you have a base liquid in your smoothie. How about if you use 2 cups of that to be part of your smoothie, and then you've already used half of your allotment. So those are things that the coach can show you the tips and the tricks of how to do that. And then you have and do this walkthrough about what will work for you, what won't work for you, and then put together the plan. So I wish there was an easy way to say, hey, just do these things and all will be well. But this is a customizable approach to your health. And if you don't like apples or can't eat apples or whatever have you, so how do we change that? And how do we build your go-to list of foods that you can quickly grab on a day that you're very, very busy, or you need to pack things and plan for the week? So that's important as well. The other thing is mindful eating. And and you'll also get the ability to download all these tools as well. Mindful eating, this is probably our hardest thing. I have people tell me all the time that they're emotional eaters. And I'm going to tell you a story about myself that, yeah, we are all emotional eaters. I was having a particularly stressful day, and it had to do with helping my mom, who's disabled, and we were having some challenges. And I remember just feeling very defeated. And I was standing in the grocery store line and I just grabbed a bag of potato chips because I thought, darn it, I want these potato chips. I was having a bad day and I'm going to eat these potato chips. Um, we all struggle with that. And it's not a time to beat yourself up. Obviously, we learned something about it. You bring it to group, you talk about it with your wellness coach, talk about it with me. What would have been a better option? Should I have done some deep breathing? Should I have walked away from the line? I mean, there's a lot of options that I could have had, but is it damage that cannot be undone? Absolutely not. We can certainly reverse whatever it was, the unhealthy habit that you may have chosen at that time, but learn from it and build your toolbox. So understanding and going through this tool with your with me or your health coach in detail. And we can talk about this, in fact, in the closed group, if you like, and we can actually talk about where your biggest challenges are on this list, which is important to identify. Remember, when we identify where our vulnerabilities are, we can then put together a plan to combat those and support the good things that we do. Let's see, let's go back to, I'm going to stop the screen share real quick and see if we have any chat questions. We do not. And then let me go back into the, I'm going to go back into the nutraceuticals. Most of these nutraceuticals and botanicals, most of you have in a lot of the supplements you already have, but again, these are very, very high doses that have to be monitored as well. And I want to say something about licorice root. Licorice root you have to be extremely careful with. Now, licorice root can be in a lot of combined supplements, and that is something that we have to pay attention to, because licorice root in its purest form, like in the drops that some of you may or may not have been on, can increase your blood pressure. So things like that need to be monitored. And we have to make sure that we aren't doing having a side effect from some of these supplements. That's why I'm saying that they do have to be monitored and prescribed by someone who understands their benefits and or their side effects as well. So that was so that's a great question. There's a question that came in from Karen. And is there a certain time we should start or stop eating during the day? Well, that depends. It depends on the therapeutic diet that you're on. If you are on, and whether or not you have insulin resistance, whether or not you have type 2 diabetes, whether or not you have medications that are affected by the food that you eat. So that is a pretty loaded question. I think that it's best answered individually for each person, but based on your goal. We know that intermittent fasting for certain people actually reduces insulin resistance and aids in removing the inflammatory marker of obesity, right? Because obesity is an inflammatory disease. And so understanding also your genetic analysis as to understand what foods are most therapeutic for you and what foods are not. So that's a great question. And it's one that I think a lot of people get confused by, especially on social media and on Dr. Google, because there are a lot of people that will really advocate for their type of eating plan, and that it's a one size fits all. What I love about therapeutic food plans is that when you understand your genetic analysis, then you know where to kind of go in the food plan. Like if you stay in this arena, there's kind of like a little circle of food plans, and we can talk about the therapeutic food plans in detail at a group visit. There's actually a chart, thank you, IFM, that talks about every single therapeutic food plan and what are the therapeutic benefits of each. And why does a practitioner pick the ones that they pick for you? So if you want to get into we can actually do that in a closed group setting or even in a series of lectures, if that's something that everybody would like. I am going to stop recording just for a second.